Hey everybody, Mr. Odom here, and I'm going to cover section 8.1, Circles and Circumference. So we have a nice quote down here: your attitude, not your aptitude, will determine your altitude. So interesting choice of words there. So take a moment to pause for some reflection. You can write in your composition book or journal. If you want to share your thoughts with me, you're more than happy to do that. I enjoy hearing what you guys think about these quotes. So the video is going to stop now. Okay, we're back. We're going to talk about circles and circumference. So the first thing we need to do is make sure we got all our stuff, pencils, erasers, composition books. We can take notes, and then perseverance, focus, diligence, and integrity is always important tools to help us with our learning. So what do I want you to know, understand, and be able to do? I want you to be able to describe circles in terms of radius and diameter. And you need to know how to find circumferences of circles and perimeters of semicircles. Okay, and there's some definitions that we're going to cover here, and then you can see the things that you need to be able to do and be successful at. So let's look at these definitions. What is a circle? So a circle is a set of points in a plane, so we're talking in two dimensions, that are the same distance from a point called the center. And so what I've done on this slide is written down the definition of center, because it's not really clear based on the previous sentence. What does it mean to be the center? All right, so that's the point inside the circle that is the same distance from all the points on the circle. So the circle is this line, okay? It is this line. It's not what's inside. It's the space inside is literally those points that are on the circle, okay? On that blue line. So you have the center of the circle. Then you have the radius, which is the distance from the center to any point on the circle. And then the diameter is the distance across the circle through the center. All right, and there's a relationship. You should be able to see it here. Let me get a pen. Where's my pen? Where's my pen? Right there. So here's my radius. We'll call it R. Well, if I look at this from this point to this point, this is also a radius, and this is also a radius. So the diameter is basically twice the radius. And you see that down here, the diameter, and we use little d of a circle, is twice the radius, which we use little r. And then the radius of a circle is 1/2 the diameter. So if the diameter is 10, the radius is 5. If the radius is 12, the diameter is 24. Okay, and then here are two formulas that you can use to go from radius to diameter. If I know the radius, I can find the diameter with this equation. And if I know the diameter, I can find the radius. All right, so the video is going to pause here, and I want you to write down the definitions you see there for circle, center, diameter, and radius. I also want you to write down these two formulas, okay, because you're going to need to be able to use them. So I'm going to stop the video now. All right, so hopefully you've written all that stuff down in your composition book, okay? If you haven't, you're missing out. All right, so you should write that stuff down. I'm going to move on now. We got some more definitions. So the distance around a circle is called the circumference. Okay, it's called the circumference. It's the distance around the circle. Think of it as the perimeter of a circle. When we think perimeter, we think the distance around a polygon. So the distance around a circle is called the circumference. And this ratio, the ratio of the circumference to the diameter, okay, is the same for every circle and is represented by the letter pi. Okay, so pi is this number that some of you have memorized beyond the 3.14. Good on you. I haven't. I only know a few digits past the 3. So this ratio, and this is for any circle you draw. The ratio of the circumference to the diameter is pi, all right? And here's two ways that we can write an approximation of pi. These two values are not pi, but they are approximations. They're close to pi, close enough, okay? So, um, let's look at what the circumference of a circle is. So we use capital C. The circumference C, capital C, of a circle, we use capital C, is equal to pi times the diameter, or pi times twice the radius. So here are two real important formulas to calculate the circumference of a circle, okay? We also have this definition of a semicircle, which should make sense. Semi is one of those stems you've learned, meaning half. So semicircle, half of a circle. All right. And when we want to find the distance around a semicircle, we're going to call that the perimeter, just like we would if we wanted to find the distance around a square or a rectangle or a trapezoid or triangle. Okay. So if we want to find the distance around a semicircle, we call that the perimeter. Okay, if we want to find the distance around a circle, we call that the circumference. So again, more important definitions. I'm going to stop now, and I want you to write down the definition for circumference. I want you to write down these two formulas, and I want you to write down the definition of a semicircle. So the video is going to stop now. Okay, so we're back. You got some more stuff for your notes, lots of stuff for your notes. It's time to work out some problems. So the diameter of a circle is 20 feet. Find the radius. How do we do that? First, we get our pen, Mr. Odom. Get that to automatic. There we go. So first, we write down the formula. I have the diameter, which is 20 feet, and I want to find the radius. So that's the formula I use. I plug the numbers in, I divide, and the thing you cannot forget are the units. Okay, don't forget the units. Okay, 10 feet is the answer. All right, what about the second one? The radius of a circle is 7 meters. Find the diameter. So this time I know what the radius is. I just double it. I multiply it by 2, and that gives me the diameter. And it's 14 meters. So it's not just 14. Okay, it's not just 14. It's 14 meters. All right, let's look at some practice problems. Okay, so I want you to work these problems out in your composition book. And the video is going to pause now. Okay, so we're back. Let's see what we got. So for number one, the diameter of a circle 16 centimeters, find the radius. So I want to find R. So I use that formula, plug in the numbers, and the answer is 8 centimeters. All right, the second one, the radius is 9 yards, find the diameter. So here the diameter is 18 yards. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so now let's practice finding the circumference. So let's find the circumference of that frisbee or flying disc. The radius is 5, and it says use 3.14 for this problem. Okay, so most of the time you're going to use 3.14 for pi. So I write down my formula, and I just plug the numbers in. And again, I'm using an approximation for pi. So notice the sign goes from equal to approximately. So the circumference is approximately, or about, 31.4 inches. All right, for the next one, we're using 22 over 7 for pi, and I'll point out why we're going to use it 22 over 7 for this problem. So here's the formula. We have the diameter. That red line goes all the way across the watch through the center. That's the diameter. So the reason I use 22/7 here is if I put this over 1, notice that I can cancel. Boom, boom. That becomes 1 and 4, right? And if I do that, then I just multiply the numerators together and I get 88. Okay, so the circumference is about 88 millimeters. So sometimes using 22/7 is good. If your radius or your diameter is a multiple of 7, then that's pretty good because then there will be some canceling. Or you can just use 3.14. You can use 3.14 for all the problems. That's fine too. All right, so we're going to practice. The video is going to pause, and I want you to work out these problems in your composition book. All right, so we're back, and let's see, what did we do? The radius is 2 centimeters, so I use 2 times pi times r, and that's what I get. Here, c equals pi times diameter. Here again, I use 3.14. Yes, you could have used 22/7. Here I get 43.96 feet, and that's an approximation. And then number 5, I use 3.14 again. That's a diameter, and I get the circumference is 28.26 inches, approximately. All right, we talked about a semicircle. We want to find the perimeter of that. So the straight side, the distance from, let's see, from here to here is 6 meters, okay? The distance around the curved part is half the circumference of a circle. That makes sense. If this was a whole circle, I would find the circumference. But the distance around here is only half, right? It's half the circumference of a circle with a diameter of 6 meters. So knowing that, let me find half of the circumference of the circle. So we do that. And then what do I need to do? I need to add it to the diameter. Okay, so here is kind of a formula that I want you to write down that you can use to find the perimeter of a semicircle. Let me find half of the circumference of a circle and add it to the diameter. Okay, so here in this problem we just worked out, d equals 6. And then notice I use this part of the formula, and then I just added the diameter when I was done. So this is a formula that you can use to find the perimeter of a semicircle. So I'm going to stop the video so you can write that down. This is for the, let me write this, perimeter of a semicircle. All right. All right, so I'll stop the video now so you can write that formula down. Okay, so we're back, and let's see what we got now. We got some practice. All right, find the perimeter of the semicircular region. So I'm going to stop the video so you can work these problems out in your composition book. Okay, we're back. Let's go through the answers. Notice how I write that formula down. I always do that first. Write the formula down you're going to use, plug in the values, and just work it out. I did the same thing for number 8. My diameter was 7. And then for number 9, what is the diameter? It's not 15. That would be the radius. The diameter would be twice that, so it's 30. So be careful. Don't just write down the number blindly without making sure that it is the distance that you want. Okay, so for number 9, you want to make sure that you write down 30 as your diameter instead of 15. Okay, so we had some practice, we did some stuff. That was a pretty good lesson. Hopefully you learned something about circles. And so this is Mr. Odom. Time for me to go, and I am out.